Good evening, everyone. We are now live in Autodesk Community Philippines and CAD Community Asia for animating parts and assemblies in Fusion 360. So, inviting everyone to register. So, I'll be posting the registration link in the comment section. Please do register if you want to receive an official certificate of event participation or course completion. And of course, download Fusion 360 if you don't have any installed. So please install it now. Okay, and inviting you to join our groups, Autodesk Community Philippines, Fusion 360 worldwide users, and for the ladies out there, we have Fusion 360 lady users worldwide. And of course, CAD Community Asia in Facebook. I'll be giving you a few minutes to register. Okay, good evening once more. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker this evening. He is a chief design engineer and is highly focused 3D CAD, CAM, and CAE designer with years of experience in product design positions. Let's welcome Ram Agarwal. Hi, Ram.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the introduction. So, without any further ado, I guess let's get started. So, hello, everyone. Today we are going to be looking at animation and animating assemblies and parts using Fusion 360. So, without any further ado, let's get straight into the software. I hope that everyone has installed the software called Fusion 360 in their systems, and you have also received the files that are needed to follow along in the session. Okay, so in the live chat section, you can see a link that has been shared for exercise files. You can access all of those exercise files from that link. And once you are done, you can just open Fusion 360 software, and then we can get straight into Fusion 360. Okay, so my screen is visible to everyone. All right, so I hope that everyone has downloaded the exercise files that have been provided in the live chat section, and also you have installed Fusion 360 because it is going to be necessary for following along in today's tutorial. So let's get started. The first thing that I would request everyone to do is upload all of those files that you had recently downloaded from the exercise files. You have to upload it into a project in Fusion 360. So to do that, just simply tap on this dots over here, and if you go to your home, you can see there are the projects that you have created in Fusion 360 or the default projects that Fusion 360 provides. You just simply have to click on this button that says new project, click on new project, and you can type in the name. Today I'm going to be typing name as, so I've typed in the name of the project as Animating Parts and Assemblies. And once I hit enter, as you can see, the project is now being created in my projects tab. I can just double click on this Animating Parts and Assemblies project. And as you can see, I get this window that says saved and uploaded files will be appearing over here. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to upload our files that we have just downloaded from the exercise files. And to do that, what we are going to do, we can just simply click on the upload button over here, and it is just going to ask you to save the location. So we are going to save it in the location of Animating Parts and Assemblies. So this is the project that we have created. Now I want to select the files. So I can go to select files, and as you can see, I have these three files which I have shared to you. I have these three files, and I can select all of these three files and I can hit open. So once I click on open, all of these three files are going to be uploaded in the project of Animating Parts and Assemblies. So now I can click on upload, and in some time you will be able to see that these files are getting uploaded into your Fusion 360 project. So we have all the three files here. So starting with the steering wheel file, we are going to be using the steering wheel file to just get basically used to the animation workspace, where we are going to be looking at some of the buttons, some of the toolbars, and some of the windows in the animation workspace. After having a quick look at that, we are also going to head to some complex levels of animation, where we are going to be doing some um, complex level mechanical animations with the use of gear assemblies and moving parts. So let's get straight into Fusion 360. As you can see, all of my files are getting uploaded. Now, depending on your internet speed, the speed of uploading of these files may vary. I'll wait for 2 minutes for you guys to finish with your uploading. Okay, so once done, all of these three files will look like this. If you are not able to see all of these files, you can just simply hit the refresh button over here. So once you click on the refresh button, the files in this folder are going to get refreshed. And now, as you can see, I have all of these three files, which I shared in the exercise files in the chats. So as you can see, we have three files. We have Bomber, we have Ornithopter, and we have a steering wheel. So quickly starting with the steering wheel file, I just want you to double click on the steering wheel file. And once you double click it, it is going to open over here in Fusion 360. I would like you guys to know that we are also having a question and answer session once the session ends. So please, if you have any questions, put it in the chat box or in the chat box after the session ends, so that I'll be able to resolve all of your queries and I'll be able to answer all of your doubts. All right, so as you can see, the steering wheel file has been opened over here. Now I can just simply press on this cross icon to close the data panel. And as you can perfectly see, this is the steering wheel that I had designed. And we are going to be using this file for animations. So let's quickly get started with that. If you just have a basic look at this, this is the steering wheel. And now to move into the animation workspace. So as you can currently see, we are in the design workspace. And in the design workspace, we have all the tools and all of the windows and all of the buttons which are going to help me design a product. But since you can see that this product is already designed and there is nothing different that I want to do with this product, so I don't want to make any design changes or I don't want to make another design using this design itself. What I want to animate it. So we are in the incorrect workspace for animation. To go to animation workspace or to change workspaces, what you have to do, you have to click on the design workspace over here on the drop down. Once you click on this drop down, as you can see, you get several options over here. You get design, you get generative design, you get render, animation, simulation, manufacture, and drawing. Out of this, as you can see, we have animation workspace over here. And if I click on this animation workspace button, then as you can see, the workspace now changed from design workspace to the animation workspace. And after opening of the animation workspace, as you can see, we have one toolbar that says animation, and then we have certain buttons that says storyboard, transform, annotation, view, and publish. So we are going to have a look at each of these separately. But before starting, I just want you to explore what Animation Workspace does and what all of these have. So basically, if you talk in the sense of theory, so Animation Workspace basically helps you animate your product. Now, animation doesn't really mean that you can create animations like characters animations or any animated movie sort of an animation. That is a different sense of animation. But in Fusion 360, we can we can create a small video where we can show different movements of the product. We can show the complete 360 view of the product by simply rotating it or revolving it in different positions, and we can save that animation as an mp4 file to share it with our clients or with the person who is interested in the animation. So that's the basic, you can say the basic task of the animation workspace in Fusion 360. And also, many people, if you would have heard, we need exploded views of assemblies. So let's say there is a huge assembly with many parts, and there are small sub parts and small components and all, and we want to explode them in a way that all of these individual components are visible. And then again, we have to kind of combine them together to show them visually happening. So that we can do in Animation Workspace. Now, without any further ado, hoping that you have opened the steering wheel file in the Animation Workspace, we'll get started. So just give me a moment. Okay, so I guess now the timeline is also visible. So this is how the animation workspace looks once again. We have the storyboard, we have the transform buttons, we have annotation, we have view, and we have publish. And then we have the normal browser where we can see the assembly that we are working with and the components inside that assembly. So if you just click on the drop down, you will be able to see the three components in this assembly. And then we have animation timeline. So animation timeline is basically it's basically the component of animation workspace that is going to help you create the animation. So over here you can see a small slider. We have a red button which is basically the scratch zone, or you can basically refer to it as behind the curtains. So if you take this slider or the playhead, and if you drag it using your mouse, if you drag it in this scratch zone, whatever you do over here is not going to get recorded, or it is not going to get saved, because all of that which we are doing in this scratch area or the scratch zone is basically behind the scenes or behind the curtain. So it is not visible, or it is not actually shown to people. If we want to show something like an animation or something moving, for let's say I want to go to the right side view of this design in 3 seconds. So what I can do, I can just simply grab the playhead and I can use my mouse to drag it to 3 seconds over here. So as you can see, now my playhead is at 3 seconds in the animation timeline. And now if I click on the right side view of the view cube, if I just click it once, as you can see, it is going to record that movement or that motion of the part or the assembly. So currently the motion that was recorded was the camera angle. So what we did, we switched the camera angle. So if we now play the animation, if you just grab the playhead back to 0, and then if you hit play, you'll be able to see this animation happening in 3 seconds. So this is the animation that we created, basic animations that took 3 seconds. Now let's say I want to go to 6 seconds, so basically adding another 3 seconds, and I want to show the back view of this steering wheel. So I can use my view cube to rotate the view to the backside view of this design. And as you can see, again, the motion was recorded and the motion was in the form of a camera view. Now, if you again grab the playhead and take it to 0, and if you hit the play button over here at the bottom, you'll be able to see that the steering wheel is moving, or the camera view for the steering wheel is moving at 3 seconds each. Now, again, if I want to change the view, I can go to, let's say, 9 seconds, and I can show maybe the home view once again. So I can click on the home button, and again, this view is going to get recorded. So what is happening exactly right now is that we are changing the camera views. So this is a very basic form of animation where you change the views of camera, and then you export it as a video and show it to the public, so that the public gets to know, or the user gets to know, what your design looks from all of the sides. Now again, if I grab the playhead and if I get it to 0, and if I hit on the play button, you'll be able to see the first animation happening 3 seconds, then it switches to the next one in 3 seconds, and again back to the home position in 3 seconds. So this is the basic animation that we have created. I hope that everyone is able to follow, and there is no doubts whatsoever. If you have any doubts or if you have any queries regarding this, you can put it in the chat box, and I'll make it sure that I resolve it and at the end of the session. Okay, so now we've seen the basic type of animation, which is the camera view animation. Now let's get a little bit more complex, because now we are going to work with assemblies and different parts, individual parts. So we need to know, or we basically need to show people what parts are there inside the design. Is it just the steering wheel, or is it the steering attachment, or the steering axle? So what are all of these? How do they get attached, and where are they exactly situated in the design? So I have to show this to the users. What I can do, first thing, before doing anything, what you have to do is grab the playhead and take it to the next timestamp. So if I want this animation to be of 3 seconds, I can take it to 12, basically adding 3 seconds to the animation. And I can go to this transform drop down over here. If I go to the transform drop down, you can see there's this option that says auto explode all levels. And if you just hover your mouse over there, you can see that the description of that tool, basically it is exploding all levels of the assembly down to the lowest leaf parts of the of a complete exploded view. So it basically means that it is going to stretch out my design. If you can see it um, in the description or in the thumbnail as well, you can see that all of the small cubes are basically getting stretched out in a way to show each and every single part of the assembly. So we are going to use that. We are going to click on the button of auto explode all levels. So it is saying that there are no available components for exploding. Why is that happening? Because we haven't selected any component. So to make it happen, we'll have to select this component of steering wheel. As you can see, I've selected steering wheel as my main component. Now again, I can go to the transform drop down. I can go to auto explode all levels, and if you give it some time, it is going to auto explode all of these three components of this assembly. And you can choose the explosion scale if you want it to go completely out, something like that, or if you just want it out just a little bit. So I want it to go out completely, something like this. And once done, you can click on this green check mark that says OK. So once you are happy with this animation, once you are happy with this explosion, what you can do is simply click on this green OK button. And if you go back to 0 over here, and if you play the animation, first of all, what you are going to see is that the parts are getting separated. And yeah, so using this different views, different camera views, and using the explosion, we were able to see these three different parts of the steering wheel in this particular assembly. But if you remember, we actually planned it to be happening after 9 seconds up till 12 seconds. So it didn't happen over there, but it initially happened at 0 seconds till 1 second. So it was a 1 second explosion. If I want it to be a little bit more, I can use this slider over here and I can just drag it out till it says 3 seconds like this. And same way with this one. So you can see now I've made them 3 seconds, and they are now starting from 0 seconds and they are lasting till 3 seconds. But again, that leaves us still in the query that we wanted it at 9 seconds till 12 seconds. So how to do that? You can just simply select this tab, press Ctrl and select this tab as well, and you can just simply move it like this till it reaches 9 seconds. So like this, as you can see, I've moved all of these parts from 0 seconds to 9 seconds. And now if I show you the animation, and if I hit the play button, you'll be able to see the first view changing in 3 seconds, the next view in the another 3 seconds, and back to home view in 3 seconds. And after that, slowly the explosion is happening where all of these parts are getting separated from each other. So this is how the explosion is happening, and this is how we can create basic animations in Fusion 360. Now, if you want to see it in full screen, first thing what I'll suggest is go to display settings, go to visual style, and go to shaded. So now if you go to shaded, so that all of the lines that were there of the construction lines and of the design, those lines are not visible now. And now if I click on this expand button, I can go full screen, and I have the small playhead button over here. So if I click on this play button, as you can see, the animation has started in full screen. So this is the front view, the side view, and the home view, and then the explosion. So I hope that you all are able to follow till this point, and you are understanding each and every single concept of designing and animation, of course. I'm going to wait for another half a minute so that you guys can catch up. If not, then we'll continue. So I'll wait for half a minute. Okay, so once you are done animating this, now let's say you want to get these parts back in that place, or if you want to show some other view, or maybe do some other task without actually disturbing this view. So like if I say right now, if I go to the right view, as you can see, whatever changes I made to the camera view are going to get recorded. But I don't really want this recordings to happen of the camera view because I am satisfied with the camera view it was in previously. But I also need the front view, or in this case the right side view, to actually get a look out of how the product looks before animating it further. So I don't want that. I can do two things. I can either select this camera view button, and then I can hit delete on a keyboard to delete that part, so that the camera view doesn't get recorded, or the one that got recorded gets deleted. And now I want to pause the camera recording. So if you see over here in the view drop down, we have this button of view where we can basically stop recording the view or start recording the view. So currently it is recording all my views. So that's why whatever camera changes I'm making are getting recorded. Like for example, if I went to the right view, as you can see again it is getting recorded. So all of these are getting recorded because I have turned on this option for recording the views of my camera. But if I click on it, as you can see now it is saying that view is not recording, and the button also changes from recording to a paused recording thumbnail or the paused recording button, which basically tells you that whatever changes you make to the views or the camera views of this design are not going to get recorded in the animation timeline. So let's experiment with it. Now if you see, if I go to the right view, I am able to see the right view, but the camera view that I changed is not getting recorded. Let's say I go to 15 seconds now, and I go to the front view or the side view of the design, then also as you can see, the view is not getting recorded. The camera view that I am changing is not getting recorded. This is what exactly what we wanted. So we are good to go now. Again, if you want to start recording, you can click on this button, and you'll first be sent to the place where you stopped from. So the recording stopped at this place. So we have been sent back over here. Now, if you have made any changes, then you can click on the play button, and you'll be able to see all of those changes without actually changing the view, without actually changing the camera view. So, but in this case, as we don't really have anything else to animate, so we are not able to see that. But this is going to help you when we start animating a little bit more complex parts. Okay, now we have done the recording, we have done the movements, we have done the explosion, we have done everything, and I want to save this video so that I can share it with people, because the main goal of creating an animation was to share it with people so that they can understand what I am trying to what I'm trying to explain with my design. So now I've made the design, I've made the animation. I want to make it as a video so that other people will be able to see, because most of them would not have Fusion 360 installed in their system. So they need access to this animation. So we can export this animation using this publish option. So again, in the toolbar over here, we have the publish option. If you click on this button of publish video, you'll be able to see some options over here. So video scope, it is current storyboard. We have not exactly worked with different storyboards yet. So we are going to look at that a little bit later. So currently keep it at current storyboard. Then video resolution. If you want to change video resolution, you can do that over here. But I want it to be 16:9 and 720 pixels. Or if you want 1080 pixels, then also you can select that as well. So I selected the video resolution. Rest all of these are locked. I cannot change those settings. And once you're done, if you click on OK, as you can see, it is showing you this pop-up of save as. So you can save it as, let's say, steering wheel animation 1. This is the first animation of the steering wheel. So that's why I've named it as steering wheel animation 1. Type is, it is going to be AVI file. It is going to be saved as an AVI file format of a file. And I'm going to save it to my computer on the live stream folder. So if I click on save, it will take some time while the video gets processed in the background and then finally saved to your system. So we'll wait until that happens. Okay, so now the video has been published. I'll just quickly check if the video has been published and we'll take a look at the video. So I'm going to go to the folder, and as you can see, we have the file of steering wheel animation 1, which is an AVI file. So now if I go to this file and if I play it, as you can see, it opens in my video player, and quickly enough, the animation has started. So as you can see, the 12 seconds of animation or the 12 seconds of the video totally got recorded and exported to the destination. So we are sure that the recording is happening and the animations are actually working. Now let's talk about storyboards. So if you have not seen already, over here also we have this button called as a storyboard, and over here at the bottom as well we have a button that says storyboard. So what exactly is a storyboard? So inside of the animation workspace, whatever animations we create, you can think of it like, if you have worked with Excel, you'll be able to relate with this. So if you work in Excel, you'll be able to notice that we can create different sheets in Excel where we can save different data for in the same file but in different sheets. So that is what storyboard is. In storyboard 1, for example, right now we are working with the normal camera views and the explosion of the model. With the same file, with the same assembly file of steering wheel, I want to create one more animation. And in that animation, I want to show the steering wheel being rotated in both the directions. And then I want to export this as an animation again. So to do that, what I can do is simply click on this plus button so that a new storyboard opens. So storyboard type is going to be clean, and I'm going to click on OK. So as you can see over here, now we are working in the storyboard 2. Nothing that we had done previously is continued over here. It is a completely new blank storyboard. But if you want access to that previous storyboard, you can just simply go to this corner over here and you can click on the storyboard 1 button, and you have access to all of the animations, all of the camera views changing and explosion that we had done in storyboard 1. If you want to work with storyboard 2, go to storyboard 2 button, and you have a clean storyboard where you can start a new or a different type of animation using the same assembly. So to do that, again, what we are going to do is we are going to select these components first of all, and of course, by default, we are going to go to 0, 0. So this is behind the scenes. So if you want to make any changes, you have to make those right now, so that afterwards you are just simply able to create animations without any distractions or without having to do any extra effort. So once you have made any changes, if necessary, if you change the view and all, as you can see, nothing is going to get recorded because whatever we are doing is happening behind the scenes. But I don't want that, so I'm going to go to the default home view. And the first thing, of course, what we are going to do is drag the playhead to 3 seconds. And what I'm going to do, make sure that the view is getting recorded. I'm going to go and show the right view or the front view of this steering wheel. And as you can see, 3 seconds have been recorded where the camera angle is changing from the home view to the right view. Now I have the right view in front of me, and what I want to steer the wheel. Basically, I want to show that the wheel is being steered in the left direction and in the right direction. So first thing, what I'm going to do using the playhead, I'm going to drag it till 6 seconds. So I've dragged it till 6 seconds. So I'm going to show the wheel being rotated in anti-clockwise direction in 3 seconds. So again, to do that, what I have to do, I have to select the component, the main component of the assembly, and then I can click on this button of transform components. So that's where we need to know like which button does what. So we cannot use the explode button in this case, but we can definitely use the transform button because we have to transform the position from the original position to some other position, which in this case is rotating of the steering wheel in anti-clockwise direction. So I'm going to click on this transform components button, and as you can see, I have my pivot point here at the center, so I don't need to change that. Using this little circle and the button over here, I can just simply rotate it anti-clockwise, maybe around 45 degrees. So as you can see, I've rotated it 45 degrees in the anti-clockwise direction. And once done, I can click on OK. And as you can see, the steering wheel component is basically being rotated, and the transformation is seen over here in the animation timeline. So instead of 3 to 6 seconds, it is somewhat happening from 2.5 seconds to 6 seconds. If you don't want that to happen, just simply use this arrow heads on the corner. Start it from 3 seconds and end it at 6 seconds. Or let's say if you want to end it at maybe 8 seconds, so you can just drag it on the other side and make it till 8 seconds. So if you have a quick look at it, if we play the animation, you'll be able to see. So as you can see, it is turning 45 degrees in the anti-clockwise direction in about 5 seconds. Let's again drag it back to 6 seconds. Okay, so unfortunately my Fusion 360 is not responding for some reason. We'll wait till it responds, or we'll have to do it once again. In the meanwhile, I hope that everyone is following along till this point and you are understanding everything. If you have any doubt, you can just simply pause the stream and you can follow till your doubt gets cleared. If at all you have any doubt, you can put it in the chat box and we'll clear it in the Q&A session. So yes, as you can see, I've dragged it back to 6 seconds now, and I want to show it getting back to its normal position and then again turning 45 degrees in the anti-clockwise direction, in the clockwise direction. So again, I'm going to drag this playhead to 9 seconds now. I'm going to select the steering wheel, click on the transform components button, and turn it clockwise into 45 degrees so that it is at its original position once again. And without changing anything over here, just simply click on OK. So as you can see, that motion has been recorded over here. And again, if I use the playhead and drag it to 12 seconds, yeah, so I've dragged it to 12 seconds. Again, the steering wheel component is selected. I can go to transform components, and using this, I can again take it into clockwise direction for 45 degrees, and I can click on OK. So now, as you can see, all of these views and all of the changes that we were doing, the transformation or the camera views and all of that, it is all getting recorded over here in the animation timeline. Now, if I want to have a look at it in full screen, I can just simply click on this expand button and I can expand it to full screen. And using this play button, I can play the animation. So let's play it and see how it has turned out. So as you can see, we have now again created a basic animation of the steering wheel being rotated in anti-clockwise and clockwise directions. But let's assume that while making the transformation, as you know, we selected 45 degrees. And now I feel that 45 degrees was too less. Maybe we could have done 90 degrees. So instead of going back again and doing it all the way again, you can just simply right click on this one, and you can see we have this option called as duration, edit start end, edit action, select all after, select all before, and delete. So what I want to do, I want to edit the action. So I'm going to click on edit action. And as you can see, I'm brought back over here, which was 45 degrees. Now again, using this slider, I'm going to take it to 90 degrees. So I've made the necessary change. Now I can click on OK. And now if you see at this position, it is straight. It is not at 45 degrees downwards. Why? Because in this animation, in the first transformation, we rotated it 90 degrees on the anti-clockwise, then 45 degrees in the clockwise, and then again 45 degrees in the clockwise, basically making 90 degrees in clockwise. And that is why we are able to see it flat over here in this case. So if we have made changes to this, we also have to make sure that we make changes to all of these as well. So again, I'm going to right click on this one. I'm going to go to edit action, and I'm going to make it 90 degrees like this over here. Yeah, so 90 degrees, I've made it 90 degrees over here. Once done, just click on OK. So as you can see, it is happening like this automatically over here. But again, I want it to be 90 degrees. So I'm going to again right click, edit action, and on 12 seconds over here, I want it to go to 90 degrees. Sorry, somewhere like this. As 45 degrees it was already tilted, we are going to do just another 40 degrees to make it complete 90 degrees. Earlier it was 50 degrees, so now we have made it 40 degrees. Now let's check if the animation is actually working. Again, go to full screen mode and play the animation. So the first action, now it is moving 90 degrees, then it is flat, and then again slowly it is going this way. So as you can see, you would have realized that there is some problem over here in this frame. So that is why it is not going completely 90 degrees. So again, we can just right click. Okay, just a second. Yeah, again, I can go to edit action, and I can edit the action of this one by making it somewhat like this. Once done, click on OK. Let's see if this is working. Edit action once again. For some reason, it is not getting saved. Yeah, 90 degrees. All right, now it is getting saved properly. Again, drag the playhead back to 0 behind the curtains. Let's expand the view and have a look at our animation. So this is the animation that we created. Again, a very basic animation, but an important one to actually learn how to transform components and how to move a part from one point to another. So now we have learned basic animations, time to move on to some complex assemblies. But before we do that, make sure that you go and publish the video. Again, current storyboard, which is storyboard 2. Video resolution is 1080 pixels, 16:9 ratio, and I can click on OK. I'm going to name it as steering wheel animation 2 and click on save. So again, the video is going to get published, and then we'll be able to have a look at the video or the animation that we have created. Okay, so now the animation has been saved. Let's have a look at it. So as you can see, I have my steering wheel animation 2 ready over here. So if I click on this and if I play the animation, you can see this is the camera view recording, and then it is now turning in the anti-clockwise direction and now in the clockwise direction. So now we have created the basic animation that has been saved on our device that we can use to share with other people. So that's it for the basic animations. Now I would like you all to save this file so that if at all your system stops working or if there is an issue, you don't have to lose all of the data over here. So just click on the save button and save the files, save the changes that you have made in the design and in the animation. So I'm going to enter the version description as animation files and I can click on OK. So that whatever changes I have made in the design or in the animation, they get saved. I don't have to lose on the data if at all my system stops working. So this is about animation, the basics of animation, where we saw a recording of camera views, we saw transformation of components, we saw explosion of components, we saw how to stop and start recording a camera view. Now let's move on to a little bit more specific or a little bit more, advanced level of animation. So just close this design of steering wheel, and I would now like to ask you guys to open the design of this bomber. So again, I hope that you have uploaded this file in the project of animating parts and assemblies. You can just simply go to the data panel once again and open the file of this bomber. Now, while this file gets opened, I would like to share this thing with you that there is something called as an Autodesk Gallery. You can just enter the website as gallery.autodesk.com, where you can download multiple projects from many people who have designed these certain parts or assemblies. You can use these parts in your design. And of course, you need to be a licensed Autodesk software user. If you have the license, then you will be able to download all of these files. So this is the file that has been designed by John Harris. So a big shout out to John Harris. And if you want to check out this design, you can go to Autodesk Gallery and check this design out. It is by John Harris and it is called as Bomber. So I'm using this design to demonstrate the complex animations in Fusion 360. Okay. So as you can see, there are certain joints and assemblies already over here. You can you can just simply revert the position for the time being. Okay. I want to hide the origin and I want to hide the joints so that we have a clean look of the design. So if you look at it, it is basically a design of a bomber. and it has all the small parts that we want to show or we can animate as an explosion. So that would be a good practice. That's why I chose this file, because if you see the browser over here on the left, you can see that there are almost, like I would say, around 50 to 60 parts in this assembly. So it would be a great exercise to work on while we learn how to explode parts and how to explode assemblies in Fusion 360 animations. So I hope that everyone has opened this file that I have provided in the exercise files, and this is how it looks in your system. I'll just wait for a minute so that everyone follows till this point. Okay, so now again we have to follow the same exact steps that we followed earlier. So the first thing that we'll do is of course change the workspace. So as you can see, currently we are in the design workspace where we can see all of the tools related to design or modification of the design. But as you can see, the design has already been created. What I want in this case is I want to actually go to the animation workspace to switch from the design workspace to the animation workspace. To do that, we are going to go to the drop down over here, and I'm going to click on the animation workspace. So once I click on this animation workspace, as you can see, again we have the same exact things that we had previously. We have the storyboard, we have transform, we have annotation, we have view, we have the browser over here, and we have the animation timeline. So all of these parts and all of these features of the animation workspace are still there. And what we want to do again now in this case, first of course we can use the camera views, we can change the camera views and record all of those to just have a quick look at the plane or at the bomber from all the four sides. Then after doing that, we are going to return to the home view again, like this over here, and then we are going to try auto exploding it all levels. If possible, if that works, then it is well and good. If it doesn't work, then we'll have to do manual explosion, which I'll tell you guys how to do and how to exactly create animation using that. So let's quickly get started. Again, as you can see, we are behind the scenes, we are behind the curtain, so whatever we do right now won't get recorded. Now, if I get it to, let's say, let's work with 2 seconds now. If I take it to 2 seconds, and if I change the view from this to this corner view, from this opposite view, as you can see, it gets recorded over here. Again, if I go to, let's say, 4 seconds, and if I select this corner view, so again it is getting recorded. Again, if I take the playhead to 6 seconds now, and if I go to this corner view, again, as you'll be able to see, all of these views are getting recorded. And then for the final bit, again, I'm going to take it to 8 seconds and back to the home view like this. So all of the views have been recorded. If you want to have a look at it, you can just simply go full screen and play the animation. So this is how the animation looks. So we just basically showed the 360 sides, or like, we showed the bomber and all the 360 view. Now I want to start exploding the bomber. So to do that, as you might have guessed correctly, we have to first take the playhead to 10 seconds or maybe 12 seconds, whichever is comfortable for you. Now go to the components drop down, select the bomber component, which is the main assembly component in the design, under which we have all the small parts and bodies and components. So this is the main component. Now I'm going to go to the transform drop down, auto explode all levels, and we'll wait for the software to identify each and every part of the design or of the assembly. and explode it, move it in an order so that we can, see different parts separately without being in an assembly. So let's have a look at it. It is of course going to take some time because it is a very heavy file with a lot of components. So depending on your system, on how modern or how fast your system is, it is going to work. Mine is moderately fast, it is not very fast, so it might take some time on mine. In your case, it might not take this long. It might just happen in a flash of seconds. So depending on your system, it will take time. It will determine all of the components inside the design, and it will separate all of these components from the assembly to show it in the form of animation. So we'll wait for a minute so that the software works it all in the background. Okay, so now as you can see, the explosion is ready, and explosion scale, as I had set it previously, to max. That's why all of the components have been exploded at their maximum capabilities. But if you want, you can adjust that using this slider. So maybe I want it to be this. So this is the explosion scale that I want. I can just simply click on OK, and as you can see, all of these parts have been exploded properly in this design. But before I actually zoom out to show you more of it, I'll make sure that I turn off the view recording so that the view does not get recorded over here. So as you can see, if I zoom out, all of these parts have been exploded in such a way, as you can see, each and every part is separated from each other. So if you talk about the wings, the tail wings, then all of the caps or the rotors or the bomb itself, or each and every small part, as you can see, the glass windshield, or the again the propellers, the wings, each and every part of the assembly, including small fixtures like nuts and bolts, and all the fasteners, all the bushings, all of the individual small level parts, all of them have got exploded, and all of them have got separated from the main assembly. So this is how it is. This is how it looks. Again, we are going to go to the home view over here, and now I'll make sure that I start recording the view. So this is somewhat like this. I will just click on the home button so that everything gets recorded and gets recorded in the frame, somewhat like this. And now I'm going to just maximize the screen and play the animation. So as you can see, I was able to show all of the parts moving or getting exploded. But if you might have noticed one thing, that all of it happened in the few initial seconds instead of happening afterwards as I planned. So to do that, to make it happen again, first of all, we'll check how it has happened. So two things, if you notice right away. The first thing is that the speed of animation is very much. So instead of, having a, smooth finish to it, that all of the parts are slowly getting exploded, all of them are just suddenly getting separated, and that's it. I don't want that. I want to reduce the speed, first thing. And secondly, it is happening at the initial few seconds. I want it afterwards. So to make the changes, I'm going to first minimize the screen. All right. And now I'm going to select all of these parts over here, which are being transformed by explosion. So I'm going to select on one of the parts, then hold my shift key and select the last part so that all of the parts in the queue get selected. Now I'm going to go up and I'm going to just use the slider to slide it at 8 seconds, which means that now we want the animation or the explosion to start from 8 seconds, and I want the duration to be, let's say, let's make it 8 seconds. So I want all of the explosion to happen in 8 seconds. So I'm going to drag it till 16 seconds, which means that all of the explosion that we are doing is happening in 8 seconds, as you can see around over here. If you want to slow down the speed of the transform or the camera view, you can again just use the slider to slow down or speed up the camera view. In this case, instead of 8 seconds, I want it to happen till 11 seconds. So this is how I want it to be. Let's maximize it and let's play it from the beginning. Let's see how it works. Okay, so this is how we have created animation over here. We could see all of the parts getting separated. Now, comparatively from before, the speed was a bit slower. That's the way I expected. And also the camera view recording, it was also slow so that it gave it a bit of a smoother transition. It made it look smooth instead of being very fast and very inaccurate. So this is how it works now. If you want to make any more changes, again, you can just simply select any of the part or any of the time frame in the animation timeline, and you can make changes to that. I am happy with this one, so I'm not making any changes. If you want to zoom in, you can zoom in on the exploded assembly like this, and again, as you can see, all of that is going to get recorded over here. So again, for the final last bit, if I play the animation from start, okay, so this looks even better now because we have zoomed in a little bit so we can see all of the products getting, all of the parts getting exploded properly. So that is a good feeling because it looks very natural, of course, and it doesn't look very hasty. It is not looking like we are in a rush of something. It looks very gradual and slow. So I like this. I am happy with this kind of animation for the time being. So what I can do, I can just simply go to publish video, and again, current storyboards video resolution is 1080 pixels, that is 16 is to 9 ratio, and I can click on OK. Again, once I click on OK, I have the option to save it in the on my computer, and I'm going to name it as Bomber Animation. Bomber Animation, that's the name of the file, and I'm going to hit on save button and start saving or publishing the video. Okay, so now the animation has been saved, it has been published on my device. Let's head back to the file manager and see how the animation has worked out. So as you can see, we have the bomber animation over here. I can just simply double click to play the file, and let's have a look at how the animation has turned out. So as you can see, it looks very smooth now, and it looks, like a proper transformation where all of the parts are getting exploded, and it is basically showing all of the parts in very smooth transitions at a very slow pace, which is what I wanted. So as I'm happy with this, I'm not going to make any changes over there, and I'm going to save it as it is. So this is how I have created the animation of this. Again, if you want to create some other form of animation, then what you can do is simply create a new storyboard, and it is going to be a clean storyboard, of course. And if you want to show, let's say for example, I want to go to the front view and I want to show the propellers moving or the propellers rotating. So I can do that using the new storyboard. Or if I want to show something else, maybe I want to show the aircraft moving, like I want to show the bomber actually running on the runway or anything like that. So I can do that as well. The only catch is this, that whatever animations you do are going to have the white background, as you can see over here. If you want to make it look a little bit more cinematic, if you want to make it look a little bit more, futuristic and like a proper movie or anything like that, you can just simply use any video editing software to change the background from white to something else. That's it. But apart from that, you don't really have to do anything, because all of the animation part Fusion 360 takes care of it. Only the thing is that if you need to change the background, or if you want to make any more further finer adjustments to the animation, then you can refer any good video editing software like Premiere Pro or maybe Final Cut Pro or something like that, and you can make the final changes to your animation. But yeah, we are not going to make any changes on the on the storyboard 2, so we are going to leave it like that at storyboard 1 itself. Once done, I'm going to click on the save button so that whatever changes I've made over here are going to get saved. So I'm going to name it as animation, and I'm going to click on OK. Okay, so now it has been saved. Now I can just simply close this design, and let's head to the final one. So once you have closed the design, again click on this 9 dots button over here that says show data panel. So click on that. As you can see, the data panel appears over here. And now we've worked with the steering wheel, we have worked with the bomber. Let's work with the ornithopter. But in the case of ornithopter, we are going to work a little bit differently. So in both of these, we went to the Animation Workspace and we created animations of, basic camera movements, of explosions, of a little bit transform and all of that. But now I want to do some more mechanical stuff. I want to basically, if you see this file over here of the ornithopter, and if you make the movements, as you can see, all of these movements can be seen properly. But the only problem over here is that you cannot actually animate it to that accuracy in Animation Workspace. Of course, if you want to do, you can do it. You can just simply calculate the gear ratio and give it some time to rotate and all. So using that gear ratio, you can make all of the transformations and all. But that would be a very harder and a very longer way to achieve a very good quality of animation, which you could easily do using some other technique which we are going to learn now. So I'll just wait for everyone to open this file of Ornithopter, and I want you all to follow along with me. I'll just wait for a minute. Okay, so I hope everyone has opened the file of Ornithopter in your system. Now, if you see over here on the left in the browser, we have the joints that have been applied over here on the ornithopter, and as you can see there are multiple joints over here. All of these joints are basically traveling from the motor to the gear, and from the gear to the wings, and all of the extensions of the wings, the flaps, and the back portion of the tail over here. Everything, it has been joined properly with proper set of joints, and it has been assembled in a proper manner. That is why we are able to see it moving like this. But making this as in the animation workspace, because in animation workspace we cannot actually work with the joints. We don't have the joints in the animation workspace. Like if you go to the animation workspace, yeah, over here, if you go to the animation workspace, you will not be able to see all of the movements like you would expect. You cannot see the joints and all. So I've already created a sample animation in that file itself. If you play the animation, you'll be able to see how it exactly is. So it is just basic movement of all the gears. But as you can see, even if the gears are moving, it is not exactly moving the wings, or it is not moving the tail, or it is not moving the flaps and all. So as you can see, to make an animation, we'll have to individually select all of these parts and then work with those to create the animation as we desire. But we don't want to do that because that is a very hard path to make animations, as I said, and a smaller and a more comfortable and a better way would be using the render workspace. So to make animations using render workspace, what you have to do is first of all go to the design workspace. We'll start from the beginning. We have to create motion studies. So if you go to the assemble drop down over here, we have something called as motion study. So what that motion study does, it does is that it performs kinematic motion analysis based on joints, and we have to select joints to participate and then specify the points and values for the motion. That's what motion study is, and that's how we have to use motion study. But for you in this case, because we don't want to go into the parts of assembly in this particular session, I have already made a motion study. You can see, you can have a look at that in the browser over here on the bottom left. So that is basically the motion study that I've created. You can go to the drop down, you can right click, and you can click on the edit button. So as you can see, this is the motion study I am talking about. I can reduce the speed somewhat like this. I can play it in a loop. And if I hit the play button, you'll be able to see the animation happening. If I just hide the joints, as you can see, the wings are moving properly, the tail is moving properly, just the way I want it. And this is not even in the animation workspace. This is just happening because of the joints that I had specified in my design workspace. So this is the motion study. But how do I export this motion study in the form of a video? Because as you can see, we don't have any button over here that says that we can export it as a video. So to export it as a video or to export it as an animation, that's the way we want it, we have to go to the render workspace. So let's go to the render workspace. We'll make some quick adjustments in the render workspace over here so that we can get a good quality render. And then using that render, we are going to make two kinds of animation. We are going to make an animation of the motion study where we were able to see all of the wings and the tail and the flaps moving in motion. So that is one kind of animation using the motion study. And one animation is we are going to make a turntable animation where we can basically have the ornithopter rotate 360 degrees, just like this, just like rotating the camera views in the animation workspace. We are going to make a turntable animation, but instead of using the animation workspace, we are going to do that using the render workspace. So let's get the setup of the render workspace. We are going to work with the environment as the background, and the environment that we are going to be using is probably, let's use photo booth. And the position of lightning, so I'm going to change the position to be somewhat like this over here. You can change it according to your requirements. I feel that this is correct, so I am doing it like this. But you are not obligated to follow the same exact steps. If you feel that you can use some other lighting condition that would look better, so then you can go ahead with that as well. Reflections, I've kept the reflections on. I'll not flatten the ground for this one, and rest all things I'm going to keep it the way they are by default, and I'm going to hit on close. So these are the basic setup, or the or this is the basic setup that I use for rendering. Now, without any further ado, of course, I'm going to go to render. Make sure that you're not making an in-canvas render. We are making a normal computer render. We are not making an in-canvas render. Now we are going to go to print. We are going to maybe select this quality, and I can hit on render. So once you click the render button, whatever you are trying to render gets saved in the rendering gallery, as you can see over here. So we have just submitted it a few seconds before, and it is going to take approximately 15 to 20 minutes to get completely rendered properly in a way we want. But of course, we don't really have that much time, because what are we going to do waiting for 20 minutes? So in the meanwhile, when your system is rendering this file, which I hope that you are rendering and you are following along, while you are rendering this file, what I would like to do is I would like to open another iteration of this design, which I have already designed um, in my system, where I've already worked with this one. So I'm going to open that file. Okay, it is this one. I'm so sorry. Yes. So as you can see over here in this ornithopter, which you are working on currently, the rendering has been started. It has been submitted a minute ago, and it is going to take a lot of time, it seems like. So till the time the rendering gets completed over here, just watch me do the after process which you are going to follow. So I'll go to the previous design, I'll go to render, and I have already created some renders over here. Using those renders, I'm going to show you how to create a turntable animation and how to create a motion study animation. So the first thing that you got to do is once the render is finished, let's say we are going to work with this render. This is the render. As you can see, once you have rendered the file, if you click on that render, you get this button that says render as. And there we have this options. And we also have some options for post processing, downloading, and deleting this. So we have this option for rendering as a turntable animation. So I can click on this option, and of course I can select all of the image size, the resolution, aspect ratio, and everything. Once done, I'll then be able to save the render as a turntable animation. So that would basically give me an animation with rendered effects, and of course a little bit, it is going to be a little bit smoother and well finished, I would say. So depending on the type of subscription that you have, you can use different kinds of settings to fit your credits requirements. So as you can see in my type of license, I have 16 credits that I can use per request, and the current settings are using 65. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to probably use a bit of a lower resolution, somewhat like this, 36 frames final quality. So it is taking 14 credits out of the 16 credits that I can consume. So that is good enough. Everything that I'm going to do over here is going to happen on cloud, so I don't have to be worried about that. So I can just simply click on render, and the rendering is going to get scheduled on the cloud. I don't have to worry about my system being strong enough, or it being capable enough to actually make animations like this. I don't have to worry about that, because whatever is happening on the cloud, and it is not consuming any part of my processing power on my hardware. So if you see over here, if you just click on that button, you'll be able to see that the rendering has been scheduled. One rendered image is already there, and the turntable rendering or the turntable animation is now being scheduled. And again, it is going to take about 15 to 20 minutes till it gets rendered. So we are going to wait until that shows up over here. In the meanwhile, we'll check if this is rendered. Okay, it is still taking time. So we had submitted the render 4 minutes ago, and still there's a lot of time remaining for it to get rendered. Over here, let's have a look. Okay, it is taking some time to show all of the renders that I had previously created, but I hope that you are able to follow till this point and you were able to schedule a render for the file that we are working on. So once the render gets completed, as you can see, once the render gets completed, you will be able to see all of those renders like this. And using the button that I showed of turntable animation, you will be able to make basic turntable animations using the rendered file. Again, that is going to take few minutes, so we are going to wait for that. As you can see, we had submitted the turntable animation render 2 minutes ago, and it is going to take some time. So until that happens, I'm going to show you the turntable animation that I had already created previously. So I guess it is this one. I don't really know now which one. Let's see. Because of the renders that we have created or the motion study or of the turntable animation, it has basically created a very large file. That's why it is taking some time to open. But if in your case it gets opened, then that is good enough. But I don't know, depending on your system, it will take some time. In the meanwhile, we'll check if the render is done over here. It is still taking some time, so we'll have to wait. I hope everyone is following till this point. And I guess in the meanwhile, till this file gets rendered, if you have any queries, you can put it in the chat box and I'll answer those queries in the meanwhile while it gets rendered. So I encourage all of you to please put up all of your queries and your doubts in the chat box so that I can clear all of your doubts or queries and help you if you have any problems or issues uh, following along in this tutorial. Yeah, so we'll just have a look at the motion study render that I had created previously. In the meanwhile, if you have any doubts, I'll again encourage you to put all of your doubts, queries, or any of your issues that you have faced in the comment section or in the chat so that I can respond to your queries and I can help you out if you have any doubts or any issues following along till this point. Okay, so this is how the basic animation looks of motion study using the render workspace. Of course, as you can see over here, the frames are very less and the motion looks very jagged. It is because I am having limited cloud credits which I can use. That's why I chose the lowest file quality as possible. But if you have enough amount of credits, then you can use maybe a higher quality render settings so that you can get good quality animations. I had actually exported those as well. So if you want to see, I can just show it to you probably. Uh, yes. So this is the file of the animation. As you can see in this one, I had used a little bit higher quality settings. So the motion doesn't look very laggy. It looks very smooth compared to what we can see in the preview. So this has been done using the render workspace and using the motion study that we had earlier made using the ornithopter joints and all the assemblies of the ornithopter. So this is what you can do using Fusion 360 using animation or the rendering workspace in Fusion 360. Okay, so as you can see, the render has been completed over here. So as you can see over here, once I open the render, I get two options over here. I have option for rendering as a motion study. I have option for rendering as a turntable. So in the other file, I have scheduled a turntable rendering. And this one, I'll just demonstrate how to schedule a motion study render. So just click on the motion study button. It is asking you to select which motion study you want to use. So of course we just have one motion study. So this is by default. Render quality we have standard and final. We are going to keep it at standard. And image size, I'm going to keep it at as low as possible so that it doesn't consume a lot of my cloud credits, and the rendering is also a bit faster. So this is the image size that I'm going to use, render quality standard. As you can see, it is requiring 12 cloud credits, which I can use out of the 16 credits permissible in this particular task. So I can schedule render. Again, as you might have noticed, it is going to happen on cloud. It is not happening on my local system. It is not happening on my hardware. It is happening on cloud. So it's just the thing that you need a good internet connection. If you have a good internet connection, um, then the rendering is going to happen properly on cloud. And as you can see, we have scheduled the motion study animation over here in the rendering workspace. In the meanwhile, let's have a look on the turntable animation that we had created previously. Last reminder, if you have any queries or if you have any questions, doubts, or any other issues that you're facing with the software, or if you're not able to follow along, please put it in the chat box so that I'll be able to resolve your issue while the rendering is happening in the background. If you have anything, just put it in the chat box or in the comment section, and I'll be able to help you with all of your doubts and your queries. Okay, so looks like our turntable animation is ready. Let's take a look at the turntable animation, how it has worked out. So this is the turntable animation I was talking about. So as you can see, it is a very basic turntable animation, which is basically showing us that um, the ornithopter is turning in the clockwise direction, and of course we are having a look at it from the top view. So this is how it is going to look. If you want to download it, you can just simply click on the download button, and we have three options over here. So we have downloading it as a video, we have downloading it as a zip, and we have downloading it as a HTML viewer file. I of course always prefer downloading the turntable, or for that matter any type of animation, in the form of a video. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to download the turntable as a video, and once I click on that button, it is going to prepare my file for downloading it as a video, and then soon enough I'll be able to download it and save it in my system, and then I'll be able to view it, or I'll be able to share it with people. So I'm going to save it over here as an MP4 video. Now if I go to my file manager, if I see that folder, as you can see, we have this ornithopter turntable animation file. So this is how it looks. So as you can see, this is the turntable animation compared to what we were able to see in the software in the render workspace. It is comparatively very much slower, and it looks a bit different because of the quality that we had selected. If we had more cloud credits, we would have selected higher quality render, and it would have been a little bit higher quality. But nonetheless, this is how a turntable animation in the rendering workspace works. And the same thing we are going to do with the motion study animation. Once it is ready, we are just going to open the animation file, and then we are going to download it as an MP4 file on our system so that we can view it and we can share it with people. So I guess that's it for today. We have learned animation, basic animation, complex animation, turntable animation, and motion study in Fusion 360. We have had a look at animation using the camera perspectives, camera views. We have seen how to use the animation timeline. We have seen how to explode, how to how to transform the components, how to rotate them, how to explode bigger assemblies, how to, you know, how to animate the parts using motion study, and how to use that motion study in the render workspace to create it as an animation and save it on our system. So that's all what we have learned today. If you have any queries, if you have any doubts, put it in the chat box. If you want any help with anything else, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have any other queries, if any doubts, feel free to contact me anytime and I'll be there to help you out. So I would like to pass the baton to Nelsie.
Hi everyone. Yeah, if you have questions, feel free to post it in our comment section. And the link for Ram's LinkedIn is in the comment section. So feel free to connect with him. Okay. Yeah, and for you to claim your certificate of event participation, kindly message us in Facebook, Autodesk Community Philippines. Uh, and then we'd like to present this certificate of appreciation to Ram Agarwal for sharing his valuable knowledge as a guest sharer in Animating Parts and Assemblies in Fusion 360 held on the 20th day of May 2022, live streamed from Metro Manila, Philippines. Signed by our event chairman, Engineer Jomark E. Bakiran. Once more, thank you, Ram, for doing this. And everyone, we hope to see you next month, June 10, for another topic with Ram.
Thank you so much, Nelsie, for this amazing session, and thank you all for attending it. It was lovely having you. And as already shared, you can connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any other queries, and I'll be there to help you out with all of your doubts. Thank you, Nelsie, and thank you, Jomark. I would
Yeah,
like to
thank
sign off for
you,
the
Ram.
day. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. See you next month. Bye, everyone.
Bye everyone.